Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Friday, July 8th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. The Minister of Justice, Manyani, held a meeting with the leaders of three agencies: the Agency for Registering Properties, the Agency for Property Restitution and Compensation, and the Agency of Legalization, demanding collaboration between these institutions and condemning their arrogance and failure to implement court decisions. The minister warned of dismissals for all those who abuse the laws. It's inexcusable that the public institutions do not cooperate with one another. We expect you to serve the citizens in time, but instead we waste our time and energy trying to find common language. We have noticed old, unsolved cases in the offices of real estate registration. There is poor performance and it will not be tolerated anymore. I do not want to point my finger at anyone, but we will not tolerate violating deadlines. I do not accept arrogance, delay of deadlines, and the absence of communication. Respecting the deadlines is my continuous request. Who are you to not respect the court's decisions? Whoever does not respect the court's decision will be dismissed and legally proceeded against, declared the Minister of Justice. The property issue was also a focus of the minister's speech, where he asked for a rapid respect of the court's decisions and to return properties in cases when it is not occupied. The concerns raised by the agency regarding the compensation of properties are unacceptable. I have myself verified rightful property owners who did not receive a response. This is not right. The unoccupied property should be given to its owner. There is no economic development without solving the property issues, said the Minister of Justice. The chairman of the Judicial Reform Ad Hoc Commission and Donald Lu, the U.S. ambassador, held a meeting in Tirana that lasted for about 30 minutes. The diplomat left without making any comments to the media, while Shafi Jafai joined the Ad Hoc Commission on Justice Reform meeting, where the organization of the judiciary was discussed. At the end of the meeting, Jafai denied having received a proposal from the Democrats for reserved seats, as the opposition claims. There is a difference between us and the Democratic Party. We do not publicize things that are in the process of being negotiated. The Democratic Party has made their proposal public, but has not brought it to the negotiation table. We do not have this proposal, declared the Ad Hoc Commission chairman. In fact, both parties have made moves to reach consensus. Jafai revealed that several days ago, a new formula for electing members for two new institutions of justice had been proposed to the Democratic Party. A few days ago, we proposed two very important proposals to the Democratic Party concerning the formula to select members for the High Judiciary Council and the High Prosecution Council, and for dealing with the selection of commissioners for the vetting process. But we did not make them public, added Jafai. A day after the Party for Justice, Integrity and Unity MP Masila Doda warned that the PJIU will not vote on the judicial reform if the paragraph that allows gay marriages is not removed, the chairman of the Ad Hoc Commission had this to say: "It's the most ridiculous thing I've heard. From journalists and those who articulate this, I have only one advice. Read the article of the Constitution and there is no issue about it. I am convinced that Doda will vote for the project," said Jafai. The Democratic Party presented its formula of compromise for the judicial reform today, which they believe solves the area of contestation over the election of commissioners for the vetting process. The Democrat MP Bullock Bashi declared it the best way to reach compromise, and according to him, the formula protects the commissioners from political labels. Regarding the election of 12 commissioners of the Temporary Qualification Commission, known as vetting, the Democrats propose a formula with 6 steps. The first step is the announcement of vacancies, a process that will be initiated by the President of the Republic or the Ombudsman. After announcement of vacancies, the President sends the file with the names of candidates to the Constitutional Court. The second step is verifying the applicants. The chairman of the Constitutional Court elects 3 members of the Constitutional Court to verify the candidates in accordance with criteria. The 3 members will then also be part of the verification panel in the Constitutional Court. The third step, if there are objections to the verification panel findings, a request can be made to reevaluate them in the Constitutional Court, which will then make the final decision. At the end of the candidates' review process, the chairman of Constitutional Court sends Parliament the list of verified candidates who have met all the criteria. The fourth step relates to the selection of candidates, where the Democratic Party proposes the establishment of a parliamentary ad hoc commission consisting of 12 members, 6 from the majority and 6 from the opposition. The commission then selects 12 candidates to be presented in Parliament for approval. Each member of the commission secretly and electronically votes for only one candidate, with all 12 members of the ad hoc commission voting at the same time. The fifth step is for the list of candidates to be proposed in Parliament, and the MPs must then adopt or reject the list of candidates as a whole. If the list is rejected, the Commission will start another selection phase based on the list of already verified candidates. The last step includes an unblocking mechanism for the process. If the list is refused again in Parliament and the ad hoc commission repeats the selection procedure again, and the second or third voting will be made with a lower number of votes in Parliament. The Vice Chairman of the Ad Hoc Commission on Judicial Reform, Bullock Bashi, said that this formula guarantees equality in the vetting process and does not allow the majority to have control over the justice system. Bullock Bashi said that the opposition has not accepted the majority's proposal for the selection of the members. Prime Minister Edi Rama is taking part in the Heads of State and Governments of the North Atlantic Alliance Summit in Warsaw, Poland. In the quality of a country member of the alliance, Albania is being represented by a high-level delegation headed by the Prime Minister Edi Rama, with the participation of the Foreign Minister and the Minister of Defense. The Prime Minister's press office distributed some photos from the start of the summit, including a photo of Prime Minister Rama and the U.S. President Barack Obama shaking hands. On a political level, this summit is considered a particularly important for the alliance, as it is held at a critical time of serious challenges for the Euro-Atlantic security from the east as well as from the south. Prime Minister Edi Rama and the Albania delegation will be part of the discussions which center on strengthening the alliance's collective defenses, projecting stability in the Euro-Atlantic, security threats and challenges, and NATO engagement in Afghanistan. Inflation has increased in June, escaping the danger zone that it has been in for several months. The Institute of Statistics reports that last month the inflation indicator amounted to 1.2%, marking an increase of 0.5% from May and was 0.2% lower than in June last year. In addition to clothing and communication, all other commodity groups have recorded an annual growth, reflecting the local tax increase of the city halls and increased costs for specific industries, mainly those of electricity. Compared to May, the inflation increase can be explained by the revival of consumption, a period that coincides with the holding of the European Championship and also with the tourist season, which has increased the flow of goods. The largest increase of prices in June was in the group food and non-alcoholic beverages, alcoholic drinks, and cigarettes. Despite the growth in June, inflation remains below the minimum target projected by the Bank of Albania for its fluctuation in margins of 2%. The government has prepared a new plan to distribute economic aid. But before its implementation, the Ministry of Social Welfare will first verify the existing list of people who receive economic aid in order to exclude abusers. After this verification, the ministry has a new plan to distribute economic aid to persons with disabilities. Among other things, the new plan includes reducing cash payments, which can be misused by the family of the disabled, and includes distributing economic aid to specialized centers where the disabled receive treatment so that these monies can be used for services offered to the disabled. The associations for the disabled and the stakeholders informed the Minister of Social Welfare about some important issues, including the absence of state funding for treatments, the unfair removal of aid from some of the disabled, and about the absence of wheelchairs in the centers. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.